What's up, Dirty Cones? So, a lot of people are asking, so I've heard there's this story about you in New Orleans, and, or New Orleans, however you like to say it, and, I guess I will tell that story. It's a pretty good story. It's very, entertaining, educational, interesting, funny, ironic. It's got a whole lot of stuff going for it. So I guess I'll take you back to the day the hurricane hits. And I'm stationed in Las Vegas. And I'm a single parent. I got 2 boys, and they would have been probably about 4 and 2 at that point. And used to pay dudes and beer to watch them. I think I've said that once or twice before. I believe the statute of limitations has expired, so hopefully nobody. And my children are still happy, safe, and have all their fingers and toes. They weren't actually drunk while they were watching my children, but I paid them in beer to watch my children. So, I mean, because what are you going to give a young dude? You know, young PJ, what's he need? Doesn't need anything, he needs beer. And they'd be like, I don't know anything about watching kids. And I'm like, that's okay. I don't know anything about raising kids either. So we're good to go. And so I would go fly and do my stuff. So get the call. We are going to New Orleans. And we are leaving in 18 hours. I think it took my mom or my sister about 2 days to get from California to Vegas. They had stuff going on. So the boys stayed with one of my neighbors. And so from 18 hours, when we start packing, they're like, all right, you're leaving in 18 hours. Okay. So we're leaving, we're going, flying cross country, 2 stops. We stopped somewhere in Texas for gas. Or no, did we? I think we flew to Albuquerque, got gas, and then kept on going, and I think we, somewhere in Texas, got some more gas, and then flew to Mississippi. And so that morning, as we're loading up, the local news station comes and wants to talk to us and ask us what we're doing. And so they're like, so Ronnie, what are you gonna do? I said, well, I get lowered down. I'm like, shoom, and I'm gonna pick up people and then zoop up the line, and we're good to go. And the dudes that are watching me like, you and your I don't know, whatever you want to call it, my descriptions of sounds. I don't know. I don't think I do it as much, but I do know that I used to use a lot of zooms and as the description, because I'm pretty good with loading people up on a hoist, and so I use sounds. I like sounds. I think sounds capture a lot of things that words can't convey. So yep. So made these sounds. Everybody's laughing, going, "Dude, you're a goofball." And I'm like, it doesn't matter. So I get the job done. And so we fly, get to Mississippi, drop off our stuff, go to New Orleans, start picking up people. It was pretty exciting. It was a good time. Loved it. It was like a pararescue reunion. Everybody was there. Reserve, Guard, Alaska, New York, Kentucky, everybody that was stateside pararescue was there. And so we're flying around. I was a team leader at the time, at the beginning of New Orleans. So we're flying around, picking up people, having a good time. There's a famous picture that's where this story is leading. So it's about 7 days into Katrina. We're still picking up people, and I'm pretty depressed. I had fallen in the water, had drank some water, and I was having some serious stomach issues. Like, I couldn't hold anything down. So what I would do is I would drink Dr. Pepper and Gatorade all day, and I would pop an Imodium, and so that way I wasn't going to the bathroom all day. and then at night I would just, try to purge myself. And if you're looking for a great weight loss, even if you don't need to lose weight, I gotta go with drinking some bad water. That's a great weight loss thing. So it took me about 17 days of just dying, and finally the doctors gave me some stuff and it started helping out. But they were like, "Why didn't you tell anybody?" I was like, "Are you kidding? This is the world's greatest Seesaw event, man. I wasn't gonna miss it for nothing." So, I didn't tell anybody I was sick, and all the people I think started figuring it out because they're like, "You're not feeling good, are you?" I'm like, "Dude, I feel horrible." So 7 days into Katrina, we're still picking up body, people, and stuff, and I'm a little depressed. Probably wasn't sleeping well, and I wasn't eating right, and I had stuff going on. And it was just like, and I love New Orleans. New Orleans is a beautiful town filled with beautiful people and some of the finest food I have ever eaten. Before the war, we used to go to New Orleans for trauma, and because there was always people getting shot, and so you'd go there for a month, and you'd stay in a condo, and you would hard crew with these New Orleans EMTs, and they were some of the finest paramedics I've ever worked with. A guy named Deloy Rester, amazing. He was like the Buddha of medicine. That dude could get an ET tube or an IV quicker than anything I've ever seen. Just, and a beautiful individual. And so, I had been there 3 times and had learned to love New Orleans. It had grown on me. It had, great music, great food, great people, and so to see it destroyed like it was hardcore. I mean, I called most of my career my World Devastation Tour because everywhere I went was pretty much a hellhole or something that got destroyed or was a war-torn area. So seeing New Orleans just distraught like that, and I took a whole lot of pictures, and so like I said, 7 days into New Orleans, I'm bummed out. We pick up this guy who's having an aortic aneurysm, so his aorta is pulsing. His heart is dying, and it's about to kind of explode. And usually what happens is the pressure, it shears off at the aorta, and they bleed to death in seconds. And so we pick up this guy, and you can feel it pulsating, and because of the posse comitatus rule, was not allowed to give him any medication or do anything other than fly really fast and give him oxygen. And if anyone knows me, I do not like being helpless or hopeless, and so flying around with this older gentleman, and the only thing I could do was shield the sun from his eyes and give him a little bit of comfort. That was it. Like it was horrible. So I get more bummed at this. So we drop him off, and and I'm just like, I'm bothered that I couldn't do more for him, because these are Americans. I've always helped other countries, other people. I've been to super typhoons in Mozambique, the Philippines, places like that. But these are Americans, so it's not that they're any different from other people, but they're Americans. So I felt like closer to them, and so this poor guy, I felt bad for him. So we drop him off, and we go back out. We're picking up people, and we pick up this drunk guy, and the drunk guy's like, "Hey," I mean, he's drunk, and he's like, "I know about these 2 old ladies, and one of them hasn't been out of her bed in about seven years, and they're old, and they got no electricity, and nobody knows that they're there." And so I'm like, "Hell yeah, dude, well, show us where to go." So imagine a helicopter flying sideways down an American street that is underwater. I believe there was an alligator in the water, so it was a large alligator zooming down the streets, and to give you guys an idea, like, everything was underwater. The house roofs looked like stepping stones. Like that's what it looked like with the water being that high. And they lived on the second floor. So we got a drunk guy hanging out the helicopter, going, yeah, man, this is it. You know, like giving us directions to get there. So we're flying like this, and you know, we get to the place, and so they lower me down. Oh, by the way, this is I don't know, a day or two after I had stopped being a team leader. I'd been decertified because my sideburns were too long. Because if we can't trust you to keep your hair in regs, how can we trust you to do the right thing? So I was being punished. I was flying with my friend Curtis, and so Curtis allowed me to do all the rescues. So I was having a blast, and this is one of the times where it paid to get in trouble. Because as I've said before, as you move up the ranks in pararescue, or pretty much anything, the further away you get to do the job. So as a team leader, you get to watch the team member do the work. And so I was happy to be a team member because I love rescuing people. So Curtis and I are flying around having a good time, and so they lower me down to go get the little old ladies, and one of them, like, no shit, she's been in her bed for 7 years, and totally comatose, and probably 400 pounds. The maximum weight for the hoist is 600 pounds, and I was about 150, you know, so I was hoping that she was, you know, under 450, but she was a large woman. I mean, really large, in a moo-moo, comatose. So I kind of drag her out the door, and give the sign. So I'm like, and they start pulling us up, and I'm just hanging on to her, and I'm praying. I'm like, please God, don't let her be over 400 pounds. And so we're going up, and the wind blows up her moo-moo. She's got nothing underneath the moo-moo. Everyone can see. Not that there was really anyone to see, except for, especially when I'm trying to get into the helicopter, the other people in the helicopter. And I don't think she's bathed in a while, and it smells bad, and I'm just like, this is horrible. And so I feel bad for the poor lady. I mean, not that she really knows what's going on, but, you know, I mean, it was kind of embarrassing. So other people are in there, you know, everyone's like kind of helps me get her in, and we get in, and, you know, and then I go down and I get the other lady, and I'm just like, ugh. And so we go and drop them off. At that point we were dropping everybody off at New Orleans International, and because it was about the only place that was dry. And then they would put them on airplanes and fly them to Minnesota, San Antonio, Houston, kind of like a giant diaspora. And so flying everybody out, and they picked her up. And so after we dropped her off, I was kind of bummed because that was two, you know, messed up Americans that I couldn't do anything to help. So so we go back and we're flying around picking up people, and they lower me down. And it was actually a really good hover, and they put me down between some trees and some power lines. It was amazing. And I used to like going. I would flip upside down to go down and up, and I would make like an inverted cross, and I just would have fun on the cable. But so I invert myself to go down, and then right before I get down, so I'm coming down, heads down, you know, I'm like, and then right at the end I go, and people would do it, and then I would do like a little Mary Lou Retton, you know, hands up in that gymnastics way, you know, like ta-da. And so I get down there, and there's this family. There's about 7 of them, and a mom, a dad, and, you know, 5 kids. And so I go up and down with the whole family, and their little girl was about 4 or 5, and so I take her up, and she's like having a blast. She's like, I can see my house, there's my school, I'm like, dude, this is awesome. This little girl is so happy, like she's flying on a helicopter. She doesn't even know that, her whole house and everything just got wiped out. And if she hadn't had her family with her, I would have kept her. Like, she was just the most beautiful little girl ever. And if anybody knows me, everywhere I go, I always end up, bringing candy to the kids. In Africa, the kids swarmed me. In New Orleans, the kids swarmed me. In the Philippines, oh man, I had taken all the kids home with me in the Philippines. They were all cute little kids. So, got this little girl, we're flying, and her mom looks out the helicopter and she starts crying, and the little girl's rubbing her mom's back and going, no, it's okay, Mom, it's okay. This is fine, we're safe, we're cool. And I'm watching that going, that little girl is cool. Like, she's hip. I'm like, man, and super duper cool little girl, just having a blast. If you want, Google Mike Maroney, and the picture comes up with this little girl with a big old smile. So that day we were flying around with the combat camera crew, and so we get to New Orleans, and I go to pick her up to take her off the helicopter, and she wraps me up in this hug, and I'm just like, everything bad melts away. All that matters is this little girl's just giving me this hug, and I am just in heaven. And they snapped the picture, and a lot of people were like, oh, look, his sunglasses are on his head, or, it's a fake. If you look, my eyes are closed. I am 100% enjoying that hug. Like, that is one of the top 5 hugs of my life. And actually, if nothing ever happened again, like, that hug made pararescue, my trip to New Orleans, my career, that hug made it all worthwhile. And so I get the hug, and I'm just like, oh. And I pick her up and let her off. And if anyone knows Oprah, or knows any way that you could reconnect me with this little girl, probably about once a year I put the picture out and say, hey, if anyone knows this little girl, or anything about New Orleans, and you could help me, I would love to see how she turned out, because I don't know, I think that little girl had a bright future and was going places. So but yeah, that's my New Orleans story, I guess. And we were there for a couple more, I think another week or two, and but it was what's funny or ironic, or whatever, is that other people are running away from burning houses, other people are running away from floods, and you get to work in it. Like, you're like, I almost wish there were more typhoons, or more cyclones, or more hurricanes, because I love doing my job. I don't like people getting hurt, I don't like people having to suffer, but if bad things don't happen, I don't get to work. So peacetime pararescue guys are like, man, this sucks. And it's not that we want danger or bad things to happen to people. It's just, you learn all these skills, and to not get to use them, sometimes it feels kind of worthless. So I'm super stoked on getting to do that, and I had a good time. So don't feel bad about doing your job. It's just what we do. So I want to thank you guys for listening. Hope the story is what you thought it would be. And have a good one. Thanks for listening. Hoo-yah.